There is a big focus on connection these days. We crave attention and community, often going online and engaging with strangers to find where we belong. But what happens when we look to the past to find where we came from? By looking at our roots, we actually might feel more connected to ourselves and figure out how we became the people we are. I read somewhere that genealogy is the second most popular hobby in the USA. This didn't surprise me much, since we are a nation of immigrants and many of us only have vague ideas of where our people came from. It seems to me that there is a natural human need to understand our genes, to figure out what traits trickle down through generations. There is a desire in each of us to understand who we are in the context of our family history. Mr. Fidler's interest in his family's genealogy started through conversations with his elderly aunts and turned into a full-blown investigation that would eventually culminate in a trip to his family's humble beginnings in a town called Dierbach, located in Germany. The Origins of the Ping Jockey is a limited series where we will dissect the process and the discoveries that Mr. Kenneth H. Fidler made while working on his genealogy project. Well, Mr. Fidler, it's been a while since we sat behind the microphone and recorded one of our podcasts, but it's a joy to be sitting with you this afternoon. And I'm curious, what started you on your genealogy journey?
I'm not sure, but it might be when I was much younger. I used to visit my Aunt Lily and Aunt Ida and my two uncles, and sometimes I would ask them questions about where the family came from, and they did say that it was from Germany. They also said something else. I can't think of the name, but I think it was something about Reading had a lot of German prisoners. They also had prisoners that run away or they put to work while they were working there. And maybe our family came from some of them or something, but they weren't too clear. They didn't want to talk too much about it, I guess. But I think I got me interested, and when they said that about where they might be from, I thought I'd go to the library and see if I could find anything. And I think that might have got me started.
So, you mentioned going to the library. I'm curious, now that we understand where the interest came from, how did you start to gather information?
I'm not sure if I was still living in Reading then, I don't be. I knew they had a Reading Burke's History Center, and I find out that they had a lot of information on genealogy, and I started going there. And even after we moved from Reading to Lancaster, I'd go over to Reading on weekends and go to the library there. And they had a file where you could look up your family name. And if you found anything, it told you where you could go looking for it. And they had, actually, they gave you lists of different books. You just have to look on the shelf to find and drag them out and take them over on a table and sit there for hours looking through Fidlers and see if any of them were from our family. And you could get cross-eyed after doing that for hours.
So how could you decide if they were from your family?
They gave me the names of my grandparents, and I think that was the main thing to look for. And once I found them, then if I find something that might give me more information, he can spread out from there. But it takes a while. A lot of work. A lot of hours.
Lots of driving back and forth, too.
Oh, yeah. But I did that. And then I found several other places. And when I found once I went on my computer and started looking for it, then I found, all of a sudden I found that the Mormons had their own program. And that for $5, you could use it. You could download it, and then you'd have it, and you could use it forever. And I did that for a long, long time. And eventually, they wanted me to donate all the information that I collected. And I gave it to them. Downloaded it to them.
And then didn't something funny happen about that? You gave them the information, and then what happened later down the road?
Well, all of a sudden I got an email from my one second cousin that lived in Florida. And he was looking through the Mormons' genealogy, and he found my name with all the information that he was looking for.
That you had collected.
Yeah. And he called me. He was happy to get all that information. And then years later, I got an email from another fellow from Florida. And on my mother's side, our name was Harner. Mm-hmm. And his name was Harner. Oh. And he was looking through all the Harner history, and he found it on my Mormon's information. And he called me on the phone and told me all about it. And he said, where do you go? He said he could see that a lot of our relatives were in cemeteries around the Reading area. And I said, sure, I know where they are. He said, I'll come up and you show me.
Wow, so he came all the way up from Florida.
He and his wife came up one time. And I took him down to, where the heck was it? Ole, and around that area. And I actually took him to the cemeteries where the Harners were. And he was very happy. And we became friends for a long time. And actually, he and his wife went to Germany to visit the Harners. And he did that twice. And later on, when Mary Beth had a job where she was going to go to Switzerland, she invited me to go along. She said we could go a week early and go to Germany. And we went to Germany looking for the Fidlers, and we didn't find too much on them, but we also went to visit Dierbach, where the Harners were, and we visited them.
So is Dierbach where your lineage line begins?
It was in Germany, but near the French border. And we went there, and Dierbach was just a very small town, 600 people. And we went there and visited when this other Harner that he and his wife visited her twice. They made friends with a couple that was also doing genealogy. And eventually that fellow started sending me Christmas cards and telling me he was doing genealogy too. And we wrote back and forth with some of the trading names and stuff like that. That's what happens when you start doing genealogy. You begin to meet a lot of other people.
Oh, the family really starts to come out of the woodwork then, don't they? Well, I must say what I find most interesting and inspiring is the fact that after all the hard work that you did with your genealogy, you ended up making a trip back to where it all started. And I'm really looking forward to hearing about what you learned having gone there in person compared to what you found out in the books, and what sort of interesting people or family members you met along the way. Thank you for joining us and listening to the limited series of the origins of the Ping Jockey. This is the host, Marley, and the Ping Jockey himself, signing off.
Bye-bye.